Marcus Hill walked into the tall glass building on a crisp Monday morning, his briefcase in hand. The sun reflected off the windows, making the entire lobby glow like a giant mirror. He adjusted his tie and took a deep breath. Today was important, more important than most days. He had worked for 10 years in the finance world. His reputation for spotting deals that others missed was well known. Today, he was supposed to meet with one of the biggest clients his company had ever hoped to secure. The deal was worth $300 million. $300 million. Most people would spend a lifetime chasing such an opportunity, but for Marcus it was another challenge he was ready to face. As he walked to the elevator, he noticed a few familiar faces from his department. They nodded politely, but no one stopped to chat. Marcus had always been professional, focused on his work rather than office politics. That focus had paid off. He knew numbers, strategies, and business plans like no one else. But sometimes it also made him invisible in certain circles. The elevator dinged and Marcus pressed the button for the 21st floor. His mind was already running through the presentation he had prepared. He had spent weeks building a plan that showed not only profit margins, but also long-term growth, market stability, and new opportunities. Every slide had been carefully crafted, every word chosen to show value and confidence. When the elevator doors opened, he was greeted by the familiar hum of the office. Employees moved quickly, papers in hands, phones ringing, and keyboards clicking. At the center of it all was his manager, Daniel Foster. Daniel was known for his strict rules and sometimes harsh judgment. Marcus respected him in many ways, but he also knew Daniel had blind spots. Marcus walked toward the conference room where the client meeting was scheduled. Daniel was there, standing by the door, clipboard in hand. He looked up and immediately frowned. "Marcus, you're not needed in this meeting," Daniel said firmly. "This is a high-level discussion and it's better if you stay out." Marcus froze. His mind raced. "Excuse me?" he asked, keeping his voice calm. Daniel didn't hesitate. "I said it's best if you don't attend. We'll take notes and brief you later." Marcus felt a mix of surprise and anger. He had worked tirelessly on this deal. He had spent nights analyzing figures, preparing proposals, and understanding the client's needs better than anyone else in the team. How could Daniel think he wasn't needed? "I'm sorry, Daniel," Marcus said politely, "but this meeting is about the deal I've been handling. I think it's important that I'm there." Daniel shook his head. "It doesn't matter. This is how it will be." Marcus realized something immediately. Daniel had made this decision without understanding the full situation. He didn't know the client personally, didn't know the work Marcus had done, and most importantly, didn't know who was really in control of the deal. Marcus left the room quietly. He didn't argue further. Arguing would only make him look unprofessional. But inside, he was planning his next move carefully. He knew this client. He knew the decision-makers. And he knew that the success of the meeting didn't depend on Daniel's approval. It depended on his own knowledge, preparation, and presence. He walked to his office and called his client, a company executive named Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence was direct, respected expertise, and disliked office politics. "Mr. Lawrence, I want to confirm the details for today's discussion," Marcus said confidently. "I have some insights that will be very important for our next steps." There was a pause on the other end. Then Mr. Lawrence's voice sounded friendly but professional. "Marcus, thank you for calling. Your insights are always helpful. I'm looking forward to discussing them today." Marcus smiled slightly. He knew he had a chance to show the client the value he brought personally, even if his own manager had blocked him from the official meeting. Meanwhile, in the conference room, Daniel was leading the discussion with the client. He had studied the slides and tried to memorize some of the numbers Marcus had prepared. But as the meeting progressed, it became clear that something was missing. Daniel struggled to answer detailed questions about projections, market strategy, and implementation. The client nodded politely but started to ask for more specific insights. Outside the meeting room, Marcus watched quietly. He had arranged to meet the client right after the session. He knew that the outcome of this deal depended not just on presenting numbers, but on building trust and demonstrating understanding. Marcus also understood that sometimes clients respected people who had the knowledge and confidence to guide decisions, rather than those who simply held a title. When the meeting ended, Marcus was called in immediately. Mr. Lawrence greeted him warmly. "Marcus, I've heard about the project. Daniel did well with the general points, but I want to hear your thoughts. You seem to know the details better than anyone. Marcus sat down, opened his briefcase, and began presenting. He spoke clearly, answered every question with confidence, and shared insights that no one else in the room could provide. He showed ways to increase profits, reduce risks, and create long-term partnerships. The client listened intently, occasionally nodding, clearly impressed by the depth of Marcus's understanding. As he finished, Mr. Lawrence leaned back and smiled. Marcus, you understand this business like few people do. Your perspective is exactly what we need. I think we should move forward with your recommendations. Marcus felt a sense of calm satisfaction. He had turned a challenging situation into an opportunity. The deal was still within reach, and he had shown his worth without relying on anyone's approval. Back in the office, Daniel learned an important lesson. He realized that blocking Marcus from the meeting had been a mistake. He saw how the client had responded to Marcus's expertise and began to understand that talent cannot be ignored, no matter one's own biases or assumptions. Later that afternoon, Marcus walked back to his desk. Colleagues who had ignored him in the morning now looked at him with curiosity and respect. Some offered congratulations quietly. Marcus nodded politely but focused on his next steps. Success, he knew, was not about recognition but about results and integrity. By the end of the day, the outlines of the $300 million deal were taking shape. Marcus had not only secured the client's trust but had also shown that skill and knowledge could overcome unfair barriers. He reflected quietly on the morning's events and realized that sometimes challenges came disguised as obstacles, and the true test was how one responded. As he left the office, Marcus looked at the city skyline. The sun was setting, casting long shadows over the tall buildings. He felt a mix of pride and determination. The road ahead was still challenging, but he knew one thing for sure. He would not let anyone block him from achieving what he was capable of. For Marcus, today was not just about a deal. It was about proving that talent, preparation, and integrity were stronger than assumptions and blind judgments. And in the world of high-stakes business, that lesson was more valuable than any contract or number on a page. The next morning, Marcus arrived at the office earlier than usual. The city streets were quieter, the rush of traffic not yet begun, and the sunlight reflected off the tall buildings with a golden hue. He felt a mixture of excitement and focus. The previous day had been a reminder of how easily assumptions could change the path of important events, and Marcus wanted to make sure the $300 million deal stayed on track. As he entered the office, he noticed Daniel sitting in his usual chair, staring at the laptop screen. Marcus paused for a moment, unsure if Daniel had learned anything from yesterday's mistake. Daniel looked up as Marcus approached. "Good morning, Marcus," Daniel said, his tone neutral but slightly forced. "I want to discuss the meeting yesterday. I may have misjudged the situation." Marcus nodded politely. He had expected some acknowledgement but wasn't counting on it. "I appreciate that, Daniel," he replied calmly. "The deal is very important. I want to make sure we present the best strategy to the client." Daniel leaned back in his chair, clearly uncomfortable. "I realize now that I blocked you from the meeting. I didn't fully understand your role with this client. I hope it didn't cause any issues." Marcus smiled slightly but kept his voice steady. "The client and I had a productive discussion afterward. They valued the insights I shared, and we are on the right track. What matters most is that the client feels confident in our approach." Daniel nodded slowly. "I understand. I will support you going forward." Marcus turned and walked to his desk, setting down his briefcase. The office was already filling with employees, each focused on their tasks. Marcus opened his laptop and reviewed the notes from yesterday's client discussion. There were follow-up items that needed attention, and he had already started drafting solutions for each. Around mid-morning, Marcus received a call from Mr. Lawrence. "Marcus, I want to talk about the next phase," Mr. Lawrence said. "Your ideas yesterday were very helpful. I want to schedule a workshop with our team to go over implementation strategies." Marcus smiled, feeling a surge of satisfaction. "Absolutely, Mr. Lawrence. I will prepare a detailed plan for the workshop. When would you like to schedule it?" "Next week," Mr. Lawrence replied. "We want to make sure the foundation is strong before we finalize any agreements." "I trust your judgment on what should be covered." After the call, Marcus began preparing the workshop plan. He carefully outlined every step, considering potential challenges and creating solutions in advance. He knew that a well-prepared plan would not only impress the client, but also demonstrate that he could manage a project of this magnitude. As he worked, Daniel approached again, holding a folder. "Marcus, I've gone through your notes. I see why the client responded so well to you. I want you to take the lead on the workshop. I'll provide support where needed." Marcus appreciated the gesture, though he remained cautious. Daniel had learned a lesson, but Marcus knew that office politics could be unpredictable. "Thank you, Daniel. I will make sure everything is ready for the client. Your support will be valuable for the team's coordination." The afternoon passed quickly. Marcus coordinated with the marketing team, financial analysts, and project managers. Each member of the team had a role, and Marcus made sure everyone understood their responsibilities. He emphasized the importance of clarity and precision, knowing that even small mistakes could affect the client's confidence. During lunch, Marcus sat alone for a moment, reflecting on how things had changed in just one day. Yesterday, he had been blocked from the meeting. Today, he was leading the workshop planning for a $300 million deal. He understood that his skills, preparation, and persistence were the real drivers of his success, not the approval of anyone who tried to stand in his way. Later in the afternoon, an unexpected email arrived from the client's side. It was from a senior executive, confirming that they wanted Marcus to present the main strategy during the workshop. The message was clear. Marcus's knowledge and leadership were what mattered most to the client, and they wanted him to take the lead. Marcus shared the news with his team. Their expressions changed from neutral to motivated. They understood the significance of the deal and the opportunity to work under Marcus's guidance. Even Daniel seemed more respectful, realizing that the client had recognized Marcus's authority. The following days were filled with preparation. Marcus worked long hours refining slides, rehearsing presentations, and creating detailed financial models. He also practiced how to answer difficult questions that the client might ask. Every number had to be accurate, every statement clear, and every recommendation practical. One afternoon, Marcus noticed that some of his colleagues were quietly observing him. They seemed to admire his dedication and focus. Marcus welcomed the attention, not for recognition, but because it meant the team was becoming aligned with the client's priorities. He knew that unity and collaboration were essential for the success of such a large deal. Meanwhile, Daniel continued to watch Marcus's progress. He realized that blocking Marcus had been a mistake not only in terms of the client relationship, but also in terms of team morale. Marcus's approach inspired others, and Daniel began to see that leadership was about recognizing talent, not controlling it. Finally, the day of the workshop arrived. The client's team gathered in a spacious conference room filled with sunlight and energy. Marcus walked in confidently, carrying his laptop and a folder with all the prepared materials. He greeted each person with a smile, showing respect and professionalism. "Good morning, everyone," Marcus began. "Today we will review the strategy for the next phase. I will walk you through the plan, explain key decisions, and address any questions you may have." He spoke with clarity and authority. Each slide he presented showed careful analysis, market insights, and step-by-step solutions. The client asked questions, some challenging, and Marcus answered each one with confidence. His explanations were clear, logical, and backed by data. During the session, Marcus also demonstrated foresight. He highlighted potential risks and proposed alternative strategies. The client's team nodded in agreement, impressed by Marcus's thoroughness and vision. By the end of the workshop, the client was clearly satisfied. Mr. Lawrence spoke directly to Marcus. "You have exceeded our expectations. Your approach shows a deep understanding of our business and your ability to guide us through this project. We are ready to move forward with your recommendations." Marcus felt a quiet pride. This was not about ego or personal recognition. It was about achieving results, delivering value, and proving that fairness and preparation could overcome obstacles. After the client left, Marcus returned to his office. The team gathered around him, offering congratulations and expressing their respect. Marcus acknowledged them with humility, reminding them that success was the result of teamwork and careful planning. Later, Daniel approached again. His expression was thoughtful. "Marcus, I have to admit you handled everything perfectly. I misjudged your role, and I see now that your talent and preparation are what drive results. I will make sure that moving forward your contributions are recognized." Marcus nodded, accepting the apology professionally. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate your support. Let's focus on the next steps and make sure the project continues smoothly. As Marcus left the office that evening, he felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The challenge he had faced yesterday, the unfair blocking from the meeting, had become an opportunity to demonstrate his capability and leadership. He knew that obstacles often appeared as tests, and his response had proven that talent, integrity, and preparation could overcome even the most unfair situations. The city skyline glowed under the setting sun, and Marcus felt ready for whatever came next. He understood that this deal was only the beginning. There would be more challenges, more meetings, and more opportunities to prove himself. But for today, he had shown that being prepared, confident, and professional was more powerful than any assumption, bias, or barrier. The week after the workshop began with a mix of energy and tension in the office. Marcus arrived early, carrying his laptop and a notebook full of ideas. The client had been impressed with his presentation, but Marcus knew that securing a deal worth $300 million would require more than a single successful workshop. Every step from now on needed precision, strategy, and clear communication. As he entered the office, his team was already gathered. Sarah, one of the project managers, greeted him. "Good morning, Marcus. We've started preparing the follow-up reports for the client. There are a few questions we need your guidance on." Marcus smiled. "Thank you, Sarah. Let's go over them together. The client wants clarity, so we need to be ready for anything they ask." They settled into a small meeting room. The team laid out the questions and challenges that the client might present in the next meeting. Marcus carefully reviewed each point, suggesting clear solutions, alternative approaches, and backup plans. He emphasized that the client would appreciate transparency and well-thought-out strategies, and that every team member needed to understand the rationale behind each decision. Meanwhile, Daniel observed from the doorway. He had grown more respectful of Marcus's approach. He could see how the team responded to Marcus's leadership, focused, motivated, and confident. Daniel knew that yesterday's mistake could have cost the company, but Marcus had turned it into an advantage. "Marcus, can I ask something?" Daniel said cautiously. "How do you handle the pressure? This deal is massive, and one wrong step could change everything." Marcus looked at him calmly. "Daniel, pressure is part of the job. What matters is preparation and understanding the facts. If you focus on what you can control and stay professional, pressure becomes manageable." Daniel nodded slowly, realizing that Marcus's ability to remain calm under pressure was a key part of his success. By mid-morning, Marcus received an urgent call from Mr. Lawrence. "Marcus, we have an unexpected change in our leadership team," he said. "Some executives will be joining the next meeting, and they want a detailed financial projection before we proceed." Marcus's mind worked quickly. "Understood, Mr. Lawrence. I will prepare the updated projections and share them in time for the meeting." He hung up and immediately gathered his team. "We have a change in the client's plan," he explained. "New executives will attend the next meeting. They will expect detailed financial projections and strategies. We need to be ready." The team exchanged worried glances. Updating projections on short notice for a $300 million deal was a daunting task. But Marcus remained calm. He divided the work, assigning sections to each team member based on their expertise. He also took responsibility for reviewing all the numbers personally to ensure accuracy. Over the next 2 days, the office was filled with the sound of typing, discussion, and problem-solving. Marcus guided the team, checking every figure, every slide, and every explanation. He encouraged questions and made sure everyone understood the reasoning behind each decision. Daniel watched quietly. He realized that Marcus's leadership was not just about knowledge. It was about inspiring confidence and building trust within the team. He also noticed how Marcus handled stress without raising his voice or showing frustration, which made the team follow his lead naturally. Late in the afternoon on the second day, Marcus received an email from one of the new client executives, requesting a short pre-meeting call to clarify the updated projections. Marcus immediately scheduled the call. During the call, the executive asked detailed questions about market assumptions, risk assessments, and profit projections. Marcus answered each question with clarity and confidence. The executive seemed impressed, commenting on the depth of analysis and thorough preparation. By the end of the call, Marcus had built trust with the new executive, showing that he was in full control of the project. The following morning, the team prepared for the meeting with all the executives present. Marcus walked into the conference room, carrying the updated financial projections and a confident mindset. He greeted the client team with respect and professionalism. "Good morning, everyone," Marcus began. "Today we will review the updated projections and discuss the next steps for the project. I will explain the rationale behind each assumption and answer any questions you may have." The meeting began smoothly. Marcus presented the data clearly, emphasizing transparency and accuracy. The executives asked challenging questions, but Marcus handled each one with calm precision. He showed how the projections were based on solid market research, risk analysis, and strategic planning. As the discussion continued, one executive raised a concern. "Marcus, these numbers are impressive, but how can we be sure that the plan is realistic under changing market conditions?" Marcus nodded. "That is an excellent question. We have created multiple scenarios, considering both positive and negative changes in the market. For each scenario, we have specific actions to maintain stability and ensure profitability. This approach allows us to be flexible without compromising results." The executive leaned back, clearly impressed. Another executive added, "I see now why the previous meeting went well. Your understanding of the project is thorough, and your ability to explain complex ideas clearly is remarkable." Marcus continued presenting, showing detailed strategies for implementation, resource management, and long-term growth. He highlighted areas where the client could benefit from cost optimization, risk reduction, and market expansion. Each point was supported by clear data, analysis, and practical steps. By the end of the meeting, the client executives were convinced. Mr. Lawrence spoke directly to Marcus. "Marcus, you have demonstrated complete control of this project. Your analysis, preparation, and leadership make us confident in moving forward. We want to proceed based on your recommendations." Marcus felt a quiet satisfaction. The challenges of the past week, the unexpected changes, the new executives, and the initial obstacles had all tested his ability to lead and deliver results. He had turned each challenge into an opportunity to show his skills and professionalism. After the client left, Marcus's team gathered around him, expressing their respect and appreciation. Sarah spoke first. "Marcus, I have learned so much from your approach. You handle everything with calm and clarity. I hope I can lead a project like this someday." Marcus smiled. "Thank you, Sarah. Leadership is about preparation, understanding, and supporting your team. Each of you contributed to today's success. The results are ours together." Daniel approached once more, this time with a different attitude. "Marcus, I need to say this clearly. I underestimated you, and I realize that my earlier actions were wrong. I will make sure your contributions are recognized by upper management, and that no one underestimates your expertise again." Marcus nodded professionally. "Thank you, Daniel. Let's focus on keeping the client confident and making sure the next steps are successful. Recognition is secondary to results." Later that evening, Marcus sat at his desk reflecting on the events of the week. He realized that challenges often reveal both strengths and weaknesses, not only in oneself but also in others. He had faced unfair assumptions, unexpected changes, and new pressures, yet he had remained focused and professional. The $300 million deal was still in progress, but Marcus had proven that knowledge, preparation, and leadership could overcome obstacles. He knew the road ahead would include more challenges, negotiations, and careful management. But he also knew that he had earned the client's trust and the team's respect. As he left the office, the city lights were starting to glow, reflecting off the glass buildings. Marcus felt a renewed sense of determination. He understood that true leadership was not about titles or office politics. It was about knowledge, preparation, and the ability to guide others effectively. He walked toward the subway station, thinking about the client's words and the success of the workshop. This was a turning point not just for the deal, but for his career. Marcus knew that his dedication and professionalism had made an impact that no assumption or unfair judgment could undo. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, more meetings, and careful planning for the next stage of the deal. But for now, Marcus allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. He had taken control of a situation that had seemed unfair and transformed it into a demonstration of skill, integrity, and leadership. And as he looked at the glowing city skyline, Marcus understood one important truth. Obstacles and unfair assumptions could never stop someone who was prepared. confident, and committed to delivering results. The morning after the successful workshop, Marcus Hill entered the office with a sense of focus. The $300 million deal was moving forward, but he knew that in high-stakes business every step could bring new challenges. He did not underestimate the pressure ahead. Success required constant attention, preparation, and clear communication. As Marcus settled at his desk, his phone rang. It was Mr. Lawrence, the client. "Marcus, I have some news," Mr. Lawrence said. "Our board wants a final review of the deal before approving the contract. They expect a presentation tomorrow that addresses both strategy and potential risks. They want confidence that this project is secure." Marcus nodded even though Mr. Lawrence could not see him. "Understood, sir. I will prepare a thorough presentation with all scenarios considered. I will ensure that the board has full confidence in our strategy." After hanging up, Marcus immediately called his team together. Sarah, the project manager, and 2 analysts joined him in the small conference room. "Team, the board wants a review meeting tomorrow," Marcus said calmly. "They need to see that our plan is solid and that all risks are accounted for. We have limited time, so we need to divide tasks efficiently." He assigned each team member a section of the presentation. Sarah would prepare the operational plan. One analyst would handle risk scenarios and the other would finalize financial projections. Marcus would coordinate the entire presentation and ensure that each part was integrated and coherent. As they worked, Marcus noticed that Daniel watched silently from a distance. Yesterday, Daniel had begun to understand Marcus's approach to leadership, but today he seemed to be observing every decision. Marcus welcomed the observation without comment, focusing entirely on the tasks at hand. The afternoon passed with intense preparation. Marcus reviewed every number, every slide, and every statement. He ran through the presentation multiple times, anticipating questions and objections. He also prepared supporting documents for any issue the board might raise. During a brief break, Daniel approached. "Marcus, I have to say, the way you manage your team is impressive. I didn't realize how much preparation goes into these presentations." Marcus nodded politely. "Thank you, Daniel. Preparation and teamwork are key. The client trusts us because we show that we are ready for any question or challenge." Daniel's expression showed a mix of respect and realization. He began to understand that leadership was not about blocking others or asserting authority. It was about using talent wisely and encouraging results. That evening, Marcus stayed late to ensure everything was ready. The city outside the window glowed with lights as cars moved steadily along the streets. He reviewed the final version of the presentation, checking every figure and every word. He knew that the board's perception of the deal could influence its approval, so every detail had to be precise and convincing. The next morning, the board meeting began. Marcus entered the room with calm confidence. Several executives, including Mr. Lawrence, were already seated. Marcus greeted everyone respectfully and set up his materials. "Good morning, everyone," Marcus began. "Today I will present the strategy for our project and address potential risks. I will also outline how we plan to achieve success while maintaining stability and long-term growth." The presentation started smoothly. Marcus spoke clearly, guiding the board through the financial projections, market analysis, and operational strategies. He explained each scenario and demonstrated how the team had prepared contingency plans for different possibilities. During the discussion, one board member asked, "Marcus, what if market conditions change unexpectedly? How will you ensure the project remains profitable?" Marcus nodded. "That is an excellent question. We have developed multiple scenarios, including best-case and worst-case situations. For each, we have a clear action plan. We will monitor market conditions closely and adjust our approach as needed to maintain profitability and stability." Another executive added, "These projections are thorough, but what about potential regulatory changes? How will you address those?" Marcus responded confidently, "We have analyzed potential regulatory scenarios and prepared compliance strategies for each. Our team is ready to respond quickly to any changes to ensure that the project continues smoothly." As Marcus continued, it became clear that the board was impressed. They asked detailed questions, but Marcus answered each one with precision and calm. His ability to explain complex ideas in simple terms, supported by thorough data, reassured everyone in the room. Meanwhile, Daniel observed quietly. He had never seen anyone handle such pressure so effectively. Marcus's skill, preparation, and leadership were clear to everyone. Daniel realized that his earlier assumptions about Marcus had been completely wrong. He began to understand that real influence came from knowledge, not position or authority. After the presentation, Mr. Lawrence spoke. "Marcus, your preparation and understanding of this project are remarkable. You have answered every question and demonstrated that this deal is secure. I am confident in your leadership." One of the board members nodded. "I agree. This level of preparation and clarity gives us confidence to proceed. We feel assured that the project is in capable hands." Marcus felt a quiet sense of satisfaction. The months of preparation, the challenges, and the obstacles had all led to this moment. He had turned potential setbacks into opportunities, showing that expertise, calm judgment, and teamwork were more important than assumptions or office politics. Later that afternoon, Marcus returned to the office. His team gathered around him, expressing their respect and appreciation. "Marcus, you handled the board exceptionally," Sarah said. "I learned so much from watching how you prepared and presented. This experience has shown me what true leadership looks like." Marcus smiled. "Thank you, Sarah. Everyone contributed to this success. It is the teamwork and preparation that make the difference. The client and board trust us because we are ready, organized, and professional." Daniel approached again, clearly reflecting on the events. "Marcus, I understand now. I underestimated your ability and judgment. You have shown that talent, preparation, and leadership cannot be ignored. I will make sure your role is recognized within the company." Marcus nodded politely. "Thank you, Daniel. Recognition is secondary. What matters most is that the client and our team are confident and that the project moves forward successfully." As the day ended, Marcus walked to the window, looking at the city skyline. The sun was setting, painting the buildings with orange and gold light. He reflected on the journey, the initial meeting where he had been blocked, the workshop, the preparation for the board, and the client's trust. Marcus realized that obstacles often appear as tests. How one responds to unfair assumptions, unexpected changes, and challenges can define the outcome. By staying professional, prepared, and confident, Marcus had not only secured the client's trust but had also strengthened his team and earned respect from those who had doubted him. The $300 million deal was still in progress, but Marcus knew the foundation was strong. The client trusted him, the team was aligned, and even Daniel had learned an important lesson about leadership and recognizing talent. Marcus felt a renewed determination. The work ahead would continue to be challenging, but he was ready. Success, he understood, required not only skill and preparation, but also resilience, patience, and clear communication. As Marcus left the office, he walked past his team. They were busy with follow-up tasks, motivated and confident in the project's direction. Marcus smiled to himself, knowing that leadership was about more than authority. It was about inspiring others, building trust, and achieving results together. The evening city lights reflected off the glass buildings, shining like small beacons of opportunity. Marcus felt a quiet pride in what had been achieved, but he knew the journey was not over. More decisions, challenges, and opportunities awaited, and he was ready to face them with focus, integrity, and skill. And as he stepped outside, the cool evening air filled him with energy. Marcus understood one clear truth. When knowledge, preparation, and leadership are combined, no unfair assumption, obstacle, or challenge can stop someone who is determined to succeed. The morning sun reflected off the glass towers of the city as Marcus Hill arrived at the office. Today was the day the $300 million deal would be finalized. After weeks of preparation, workshops, and board meetings, everything depended on this final step. Marcus felt calm, confident, and ready. He walked to his office, briefcase in hand, and was greeted by his team. Sarah, the project manager, smiled. "Marcus, the client is coming in an hour. Everything is set on our end." Marcus nodded. "Good work, everyone. Remember, focus on clarity and professionalism. Today is about showing the client that our plan is strong and executable. Let's make it smooth and precise." Daniel, who had grown in respect for Marcus over the past weeks, approached cautiously. "Marcus, I want to say something before the client arrives. You've led this project exceptionally. I underestimated your ability and I've learned from it. I will support you fully today." Marcus smiled politely. "Thank you, Daniel. Let's focus on the client. That is what matters most. As the clock approached the meeting time, Marcus gathered the team in the conference room for a quick review. They went over each section of the presentation, discussed potential questions, and confirmed their roles. Marcus emphasized the importance of remaining calm and professional, regardless of any unexpected challenges. When the client arrived, Marcus greeted them warmly. Mr. Lawrence, along with several executives from the client company, entered the room. Marcus stood confidently and opened his presentation. "Good morning," Marcus began. "Today, we will finalize the strategy, review key steps for implementation, and address any final questions. Our goal is to ensure complete clarity and confidence in the project." The client team listened attentively as Marcus presented. He outlined the full plan, including financial projections, operational strategies, risk mitigation, and long-term growth potential. Each section was backed by clear data, charts, and realistic assumptions. One of the executives raised a concern. "Marcus, we appreciate the thoroughness, but can you explain how the project will adapt if unexpected market changes occur?" Marcus nodded. "Absolutely. We have developed contingency strategies for different market scenarios. For example, if there is a sudden change in demand, we have a flexible plan for production and distribution to maintain stability. We have also included financial buffers to reduce risk and maintain profitability." Another executive asked, "What about team coordination and communication during implementation?" Marcus replied confidently, "Our team structure is designed for efficiency. Clear roles, regular updates, and a strong communication plan ensure that everyone knows responsibilities. Any issue is addressed immediately, so the project continues smoothly." The client's expressions changed from curiosity to satisfaction. They asked more questions, and Marcus answered each one with calm clarity. He explained how every detail had been anticipated, and how the team would adapt to any challenge without compromising results. Daniel, sitting quietly, observed with admiration. He realized fully now that Marcus's leadership, preparation, and ability to guide the client were unmatched. The initial mistake of blocking Marcus from the first meeting had been entirely his fault. He had learned a powerful lesson about talent, leadership, and fairness. After the presentation, Mr. Lawrence leaned forward and spoke. "Marcus, your knowledge and leadership throughout this process have been exceptional. We feel confident that this project is in the right hands. We are ready to move forward and finalize the deal based on your plan." Marcus smiled, keeping his composure. "Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. I assure you that we will execute the project with precision and integrity. Your confidence is well placed." The client team agreed, and signatures were exchanged. The $300 million deal was officially confirmed. Marcus's months of preparation, skill, and dedication had brought the project to a successful conclusion. After the clients left, Marcus's team gathered around him. There was a quiet moment of pride and relief. Sarah spoke first. "Marcus, this was incredible. Your guidance, preparation, and calm approach made this happen. I feel honored to work with you." Marcus smiled at his team. "Thank you, Sarah. Each of you contributed to this success. The result is ours together. Remember, professionalism, preparation, and teamwork make all the difference." Daniel approached again, his expression serious but sincere. "Marcus, I want to apologize once more. Blocking you from the first meeting was a mistake. You have shown leadership, expertise, and resilience. I will make sure upper management recognizes your contributions. You've earned respect that no one can take away." Marcus nodded, accepting the apology professionally. "Thank you, Daniel. What matters most is that we have delivered results for the client. That is the true measure of success." Later that evening, Marcus walked through the city streets reflecting on the journey. The initial meeting where he had been blocked, the intense preparation, the workshops, the board meeting, and now the finalization of the deal, all had tested his patience, skill, and determination. Each challenge had been an opportunity to prove his worth and integrity. He realized that success was not about recognition, titles, or authority. It was about preparation, knowledge, and the ability to guide others effectively. It was about responding to obstacles with calm and professionalism, rather than frustration or anger. Marcus had done just that, and the outcome had validated his approach. The office had changed too. His team now looked at him with confidence, motivated by his example. Daniel had learned an important lesson about assumptions and leadership. Marcus had demonstrated that talent and skill could overcome bias and misunderstanding. As he looked at the glowing skyline, Marcus thought about the future. This $300 million deal was significant, but it was only one achievement in a long career. Challenges, negotiations, and complex projects would continue to come, but Marcus knew that preparation, integrity, and clear leadership would carry him through each one. He walked home slowly, the cool evening air refreshing. He thought about the people he had worked with, the clients he had impressed, and the team he had guided. The success of the deal was not just a personal victory, it was a shared achievement that highlighted the importance of collaboration, trust, and professionalism. For Marcus, this experience reinforced a simple truth. Obstacles and unfair assumptions could never stop someone who was prepared, focused, and committed. Every challenge was an opportunity to demonstrate skill, patience, and leadership. That night, Marcus reflected on the journey one last time. He thought about the initial meeting, Daniel's decision to block him, and how he had turned every difficulty into a chance to prove his value. The $300 million deal was not just a financial success. It was a validation of his approach to work and life. He understood that respect and recognition followed skill, integrity, and results. By staying calm, prepared, and professional, he had not only achieved a remarkable business milestone, but had also inspired his team and changed the perceptions of those around him. Marcus Hill had started the journey blocked from a meeting, underestimated by a manager, and faced with a challenging client. He had ended it as the leader of a $300 million deal, respected by his team, the client, and even the manager who had doubted him. As he looked at the city lights twinkling like stars, Marcus felt confident and determined. The deal was complete, but the lessons learned and the skills demonstrated would guide him in every future challenge. He had proven that professionalism, preparation, and calm leadership were more powerful than bias, assumptions, or obstacles. And in that moment, Marcus knew he was ready for anything the future held.